stay organized? I've experienced this myself, and
Well, that 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 song was unbelievable. 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 Right, let's get this show underway. Here I am. Oh, right. Let's see if we can move that. What is this? That is stream chat. I just wanted to move that this. But I don't think we can. I think if I move it, you might not be able to see the writing when it happens. How come we didn't get the links to the worlds? There we go. There it is. Okay. And now you got too much. So I'm just eating a hot cross bun. Hot cross bun. Mm. Right. So let me bring you up to date. So we're on YouTube and Twitch at the same time at the moment, so anybody can watch this. So we're going to be having a bit of a break from our regular sessions for the rest of this month, mainly due to personal issues, personal situations. So rather than having no streams at all, I thought I would share with you some of my campaign creation, because I'm actually creating a new campaign. Yeah, I know I must be mad to do it, but it's happening. It's going to be a new campaign. So we've got Mythras Fantasy, M Space, which is science fiction, classic fantasy, Destined. And I've always wanted a horror campaign, and I decided to base it on After the Vampire Wars. There you go. After the Vampire Wars. Okay, by John Sned. I actually interviewed him and, well, had a chat with him for the podcast the other week. And really, really interesting guy. So I wanted to take this and create my new horror campaign. And what I wanted to do is show you a bit of behind the scenes. And the first thing I have to say is that there's going to be no spoilers in this part. So it's really just more about the background of the world and how it operates and the sort of characters that we're going to have. And one thing that I've decided that I'm going to do is allow the characters, the players, I'm going to create the characters and allow them to, for them. I even think I'm going to choose a character and create a character for them as players. And they might not like this, but I have no idea how the world's going to run. And so I thought the best way to do it is that if I create the characters for how the world is, then that will actually, that'll be perfect, because they'll have the skills that they need, they'll have the abilities that they need, etc., etc. And what I wanted to do today is almost like start to take you take you listening, no worries, um, take you along on the journey with it to sort of like give you an idea, and hopefully you might sort of like think, oh, this might be an interesting campaign to actually watch. So the first thing that it's going to do, it's going to be in modern day. Okay. Now, this is a very important decision for me because although I've played Call of Cthulhu, which is set in the 1920s, I've played Call of Cthulhu set in Victorian Britain. Casting the Runes is a product that is, I forget what era it is in, but it's another historical campaign. And I'm not a history buff. I really am not a history buff. So I want to make it more in our campaign, in our worlds, etc. Oh, sorry, still having my tea. So that's the first thing that I need to say. And I don't know if anybody remembers the series of there was a series called Sapphire and Steel, and I love Sapphire and Steel, and I want to almost like base it on that. Let's see if I can give you so this this was what Sapphire and Steel looked like. Hang on, let me turn on your speaker. Oh, this is not what I wanted. There was a much better. It used to say transuranium metals cannot exist where there is light. Oh, perhaps this is it.
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? No! No!
Used to scare me silly, this program.
All irregularities will be handled by the forces controlling each dimension. Transuranic heavy elements may not be used where there is life. Medium atomic weights are available. Gold, lead, copper, jet, diamond, radium, sapphire, silver, and steel. Sapphire and steel have been assigned.
What's he done?
He's burned them alive. No, don't.
Take time back. Save them. Take time back now.
Oh no! Anyway, hopefully that gives you an idea of almost like the creepiness that I want to almost like capture. So I don't want it as much as, oh, somebody's head has just been blown off or anything like that. I want it mysterious and something that starts off quite simple and yet develops into something quite worrying. So let's start making some ideas. So this is this is World Anvil, and I keep everything that I work on in World Anvil, and you can see that each of my campaigns have a different sort of like area. So Metro City is Destin, Classic Fantasy, Mithras, Voltaris. What Lies Beyond was going to be this campaign, but slightly different. But we're going to stick with the Gifted. So the idea of this is that there's a group of certain individuals that have special powers. Okay, so that's sort of like the let me just blow this up a bit so you can see. That's the sort of like the idea of it. So the characters have something special about them, and the Gifted is like an organization that attempts to understand and write strange happenings. Let's put it that way, because I haven't yet decided. In the recent podcast episode that with Matt Eagle, Matt Eager, who I nicknamed the Master of Horror. He was saying that you really need something to pitch the characters against. And in After the Vampire Wars, this is like the other world. And what happens is that certain beings or spirits actually pass over into our world from the other world. And this is what the party is, the Gifted is all about. It's almost like closing portals or banishing things or killing the strange and the mythical against the other world. Beings, spirit, practice with our world. Okay, so that's almost like the premise of it. And as I say, I'm literally talking to you, and you're actually seeing my thought process as I go along. And I thought a lot about it, but really and truly, I need to fine detail it now, which is super important. Where the is the chat working? Just fading after a while. It's just the Twitch chat that comes up at. Oh no, they both come up. That's cool. Okay, so there's things happening. There's this parallel world called the Other World, not Overworld. Is it Overworld or Otherworld? Let me have a look. Otherworld. It's the other world, not overworld. Other world. Okay, so that's important. Okay, so I still need to sort of like put this together, but hopefully with these streams and talking about it, it'll clarify things in my mind. And if you do have any ideas, I am not saying I'll take them on board, but please do feel free to put them in the chat. Okay, so one thing that I've decided about these characters is that I don't want to have the classic, this character does all the social interactions, this character is a fighter, so forth and so on. What I wanted to do is make every character able to do most of the skills. So I wanted every character to be able to fight, every character to be able to research, every character to do the face work and interact socially. But what I wanted to do is change how they do it. Okay, to make it a little bit different. So let me see if I can give you an example. I know I'm going to have 4 players. Okay, so I'm always thinking about 4 different things that I need to work on. So if we talk about face interaction, let's put social interactions. Okay, so when we have social interactions, there's a number of ways that people interact. And so, for example, I want one of them to have the influence skill. Okay, so this is very much like persuasion. Okay, so we know that. I want another character to have bribery. So they can find out information, but they do it via bribing people. So instantly, this is sort of like cascading back into role-playing situations. Another one is intimidation. So one of them, the way they would socially interact is by intimidation. So we've got this influence, we've got this bribery, we've got this intimidation. Now, I did have 4, but I've forgotten the 4th one. So it'll come to me either through this session or before the next one. So I've got these people, these different ways of social interaction, and these different social interactions will actually dictate how the character approaches the same situation. So it can be any character can go and do the various things, but it'll be really interesting how they actually pursue it. Now, in the same sense of this, I also was thinking about combat. Now, the first thing that I want with the combat is that because it's in modern day, I don't want guns to be prevalent at all. I don't want them to be able to whip out a Magnum 44 and shoot things. I am going to give them a firearm skill, but maybe almost like a pistol or something like that. And this is still up for grabs. I'm not too sure. And when I say firearms, they'll be able to fight anything just in any way, so it won't be firearm shotgun, and what I want to do is try to keep the skills quite broad so we don't have to specialize or really work our way into them or anything like that. Now, because firearms are quite limited, what I was thinking about is to sort of like give them some form of unarmed combat. So again, they have this idea of unarmed combat, and rather than giving them all unarmed, I thought, right, let's change it up. So, for example, one of them will be boxing, and they will be able to have this special or stun location with their boxing. So they'll be able to choose location head and stun location and try to knock them out and things like that. But when it comes down to it, it's literally, okay, fisticuffs, let's go for it. No kicking, nothing like that, just pure blocking. They'll be able to guard themselves by parrying blocked attacks and things like that. The next one that I wanted was like a judo expert. And so their way of fighting was to grapple and hold the person. So they can use their damage modifier as well to sort of like cause damage if they want. But I wanted it a lot more sort of like grabbing hold of people, throwing them would have to be in here as well. And got something in my mouth that I don't know what it is. For that, when I say throwing, I was thinking of the special of trip opponent. that would the throwing would be trip opponent. Let's just change this setting up a bit. Let's do it going down the page like this. And then we've got we've got them coming out like so. Let's just give them some bullet points. Oh, hang on, let's not do that. Let's just keep it like this. We'll format it different. Okay, so the next one I wanted what was some kind of martial art, i.e. taekwondo or karate or something like that, that had on the next one I wanted, sorry, was Aikido. I don't know if that's how you spell it. So this was more about locks and disarming and I don't know how that one's going to work, but I like the idea of almost like the Steven Seagal sort of martial art. So they're not really doing a huge amount of damage. They're just almost like avoiding combat by doing Aikido, and it's just sort of like pushing them to one side, disarming them, almost like, but doing very little damage. Very little damage coming from there. And then I was going to have the next one I was going to have as karate or like a full martial arts. And so they would be able to use flurry and as the as a sort of like special. I assume that they could. I want them to be like damage dealers. I want them to actually be bash, a bit like the boxing, but more with kicks and fists, etc. So they've each got this sort of like unarmed ability. But they fight in different ways. And what I'm hoping that the players will do is sort of like take this on board and sort of like think, oh, this is what they do. Now, just on this, I've just remembered I've done some shorts on this already, and they're actually hidden at the moment, but you're going to have a little sneaky peek of what's actually built up. Let's see what I had. Oh, here's this is the one without a face. Let's see what I say in this one.
Okay, I've made a really big decision with my going to have a face character. No, wait, listen. So what I've decided to do is give every character, so rather than just having one person doing it all the time, I've decided to have several people being able to do it. So I've done this by divvying up or giving them certain persuasive skills. So one will have influence, one will have deceit, one will have intimidation.
Oh, that's the other
one.
one.
Will have bribery, and with these,
that's the other one. Deceit. Whichever way round you spell it. So this idea that, and I'm not too sure how that will pan out. But essentially, they're liars, so so the influence or the persuasive person does it nicely, when the deceit one talks almost like does lies. So it's a bit like he could be or she could pretend to be something or someone and use their deceit role to sort of like get in. Well, the influence person might just talk about being nice. The bribery person obviously will try to convince them by giving them money or favors, etc. And the intimidation one will be downright aggressive of it, so forth and so on. So those are the social skills. And then these are the sort of like combat skills of the character. And like I say, these are still up for change. They're not set at all. And then I wanted to talk about their gifts. What were their gifts? Now, some of these I'm already quite set on. So one of them is going to be computers and technology. Now, this character is already quite clear in my head, and I know Mr. Pickles will be playing it, and he sort of like alluded to this sort of character, and I've just taken it on board a little bit further. Almost like a social media blogger, an influencer, so to speak. And it's interesting because in the after the Vampire Wars, there are certain how can I say abilities that people can have, and these are folk magic spells in the book. But for example, boost, this spell allows the user to briefly use any electronic device that is out of power or which has suffered minor damage. You can also boost the device to permit a phone or computer to get a voice or signal that may be weak. So that's a nice one. You then have remote control. The caster can perform a simple operation on an electronic or device they can see. Such operations include causing a phone to dial a number, causing a camera to take a picture, to turn the device on or off. And I really thought that's a a really nice sort of like couple of strange skills that those skills are what makes them gifted. And of course, what I would be encouraging the players to do is to actually develop their own, if need be. Okay, and actually, develop them more and more and more. Okay, so my second idea for a character is one that actually uses mysticism, and they use it to increase their strength, endurance, things like that. So let me just get to my mysticism. I'm not going to give them things like I'm going things like I'm not going to give them like astral projection. I don't think, but like guards against psionics, that might be one. Ones that increase their pain threshold, things like that. I always remember the Bionic Man. And if you've ever seen the Bionic Man or the Bionic Woman, I almost like that's my imagination with it. Somebody who can actually increase their strength, climb walls. They can change. They're almost like a martial artist, like a ninja sort of like character, and that's what that one would be all about. Okay, so the next one has to be the psychic or the seer. So this character has abilities to look around, maybe not as powerful as telepathy, but to use psychic powers of some description. So things like clairvoyance. See, there's another one here, computer telepathy. But I would give that to the computer person. Empathic push, evil eye, eidetic memory, feel emotions, mental shield. I don't want to make them like super powerful. I don't want that, and they're only going to have one or two abilities, and then that's it. That's all they're getting. And then we have one more that I need, and this is where I'm a bit stuck at the moment. What this third person will be. Now, obviously, in After the Vampire, there are something that are called fays and shifters and vampires and things like that. But I don't want and werewolves, but I don't want them to be like that. Now, the seers, they a few did enhance vision and enhance magic. They have no innate superpowers. They're simply all who can perceive the supernatural, resist supernatural abilities with their full and correct learning, learn various supernatural powers. So that sounds to me, the seers and the psychic sound like one together. Then you have all the vampire and lycanthropes and shifters. So shifters can change form. Now you do have the other thing that you do have is you have fae, and fays have their own almost like mutations. Okay, so they have things like dark sight, earth sense, and things like that. I don't know whether or not I want to have a fae, half fae, but there are some really nice abilities in them. For example, they have things like bardic voice. A half fae with this power can create a particularly strong emotional reaction in a target. So I quite like the idea of these fae, but I have to keep it sort of like separate from the actual psychics, half fae. We'll call that, we'll go with that, fae powers and abilities. Okay, that's nice. I was just thinking up here what we should have as well is maybe ranged combat. So what skills could they have? And I'm wondering whether or not we just give them a throw skill so they can actually pick up and throw virtually anything. And they all literally have that. And I think what I would do, I think I won't give them a combat style, so to speak. They'll have an unarmed combat style, a ranged combat, a throw skill, and a firearm skill, and then that's it. So they have those, and then these characters will have their own sort of like gifts. Now, the other thing that I wanted to think about is how do they research? How do they actually research? So when they comes up with a problem, how do they do that? And so what I thought here is that we could have, a few sort of like a few different ways that they research. So obviously, I wondered whether or not one of them could have police connections. Okay, so they have these police connections that they can go and research in. I thought another one would be something to do with the occult, and whether or not this is through contacts or mystical writings or anything like that. And I would let the players decide on this and what they actually want to do. The other one that I thought was like a library researcher. So this is all about books and oh no, that was it. Newspapers and social media. Now I have to be careful here, because obviously a character can start specializing and sort of like saying, right, the computer person is also doing newspapers and social media. And if that's the case, then that's absolutely fine. I'm more than happy for them to do that. I don't know whether or not I want to separate out a computer one here. I don't know whether or not I want somebody. The police connections I can see working, the occult. I also wondered about having like a library, books as well. Hi there, Pad. How are you doing? So I didn't know whether or not to have libraries or whether or not that comes too close to occult. I was trying to think about if I came across somebody who was, if there was a mystery, how would I go about finding out the answers? So the first thing is that, of course, there's all this. They can go via social interactions and go and talk to people, and then that's fine. But then I thought, right, I'm good, thank you. I'm just working on my new modern horror campaign idea for our RPG session. And so this so they could do their police connections, they can have police connections, and right, so all of these could be contacts, knowledge, skill, or writings / books. Oh, are you? That's interesting. These two I need to think about. Okay, so this one could be newspapers, television, social media, all sort of like, hey, Junda, how you doing? I'm not too sure whether or not that works on this screen, but I'll just say, hello there. The sound applications are on there. Let me just see. I'm interested whether or not it actually hang on a minute. It can't be alert. Can't be sound. Yes. Haha. Does this work? Let's have a look at this one. Not that. I'll look at it later on. I'm interested now what it might be. Just 1 second. Sound alert. Right. I think it might be. I think it might be sound alerts. Right. Let's have a go now and see what. This is all good.
Hello there.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Jundar. I suppose to make it in an already established universe, but it's define universe. I have M space, which is my sci-fi campaign. It's called Voltaris 42-7. That's my sci-fi. I don't know whether or not you're talking about a sci-fi or not when you say universe. I have this really important thing. I always start small. Even if it's meant to be in space, I always start small in a town or a city on a planet, and that's where the characters start. That's where they start, and then I create the rest of the universe as the players develop themselves, and they get to know the universe, which I find really good. Police connections, occult, newspaper, television, social media. Yeah, well, so this horror is based in modern day. It's actually, so they're going to be going around the UK because that's where I live. So I don't need to make up any new maps or anything like that. They're really good, like of a video game. Oh, that's so I actually steer away from the campaigns like that. So this might not be the same as you're thinking, but I would never make a Star Wars campaign because I don't know enough about Star Wars. I really don't. I couldn't make a universe that was the same as Fallout 76 or something like that. I couldn't do that because I don't know enough of it. Right. Where else can people get information from? We got police, we got the occult, we got newspaper, television, social media. Do we have? So is the internet going to go there? I feel that the internet could be on every single one of them. And I want the characters to decide how they're finding out the information. Yeah, so if it's people, Jundar, they will revert to their social interaction skills. See, I was just sort of like thinking that databases would be each one of them. So the person who had police connections could actually look back on databases, and somebody with the occult could have look back on databases. I was trying to think of more a broad area. Both of your ideas are really good. And I know I need 4. If somebody else joined this campaign, it would be really difficult because I would have to think of another area. I'm I'm trying to think, where else do I want to put information for the party to sort of like gather? So just to let you know, when it comes to this legwork idea, what I would do. Oh, that's this. I just had a bit of an idea. I was just thinking about scientific knowledge. Academia, almost like boffins. Do you know, like super knowledgeable people? I was just thinking, if there's a chemical element that, or a chemical substance that they need to find out something about, then this, yeah, I like this. This person might have nurses or doctors or tutors or academia or scientists that they know. So it sort of like goes into almost like that knowledge base. So they themselves don't have the knowledge. So we don't need to keep making up new people, it all new skills. It all comes from that research, and they can create people that they want. And I would encourage them to create their own contacts or say where they're getting the information from. That's a nice combination. That I like that. Um, crime scenes will come into here. Forensics. Law, anything like that. I'm just going to put here knowledge as well. Right, I like that. Let's just put these down on new lines. So how I see character generation going is that the players come together and they decide each one of these things. So you could have the psychic that actually picks the occult, or you could have the mysticist who chooses police or the occult. Can you see what I mean? So they actually put their character together how they want. And although you might sort of like think, well, the computer specialist is going to go with newspaper, television, and social media, they don't have to. They could actually go with occult or crime scenes. It's completely up to them. And they will then decide which ones. So they could be a boxing champion or Aikido specialist or something like that. And then they can sort of like mix and match together. And so they can sort of like say, well, I have these two skills or these two, so to speak. Now, these are mainly characters ideas at the moment, but I've got some other ideas that I need to make a note of and start to flesh out. So the place is going to be is in the UK. No need for maps, just Google Maps. Okay, so we got that. So the big thing that I've got at the moment is, do they have a base of operations? So when you watch Sapphire and Steel, there's no journey to a place. They just arrive at the place, if that makes sense. It's just sort of like the adventure starts and they zoom into it. So there's no sort of like traveling or anything like that. 1 minute they're not there, the next minute they're there, and that's it. So I didn't know whether or not to use that as a way in, and sort of like saying they're almost like part of a supernatural organization or society, that they just appear at the crime scene and or in the area when the strange things are happening. And whether or not it's almost like so here's your briefing, off you go, or do I make it so that it is, they have a base of operation and they're always moving around the place and traveling physically to the place. Now, there's several. If they're just part of a special organization called the Gifted, and they just appear at places, it's almost like you don't need to worry about day-to-day activities or anything like that, or where they live. They just they almost like, excuse me, they just arrive, and that's it, and they solve the problem, and then they go back at the end of the adventure. Or do we have it that they have a base of operations? Oh, that was weird. Did you see that? It's just moved up all by itself. Or do they have a base of operations that they travel to or from all the time? And then we have to say, okay, what's the operation like? What's the organization? Where do they live? Etc. etc. And then that almost like brings up a huge amount of other things. You know, what do they do? How do they interact with it? And do the next door neighbors know, or something like that? I, I, I'm almost. I really like the idea of them just porting in somewhere. Another reason I thought is that they could appear. The issue could be the strange effect or happening could be on a train.
Shields up, red alert.
Hey, XL Cast, welcome in. You were playing Mass Effect. I don't know whether or not the clippy's going to work. Let's see. I don't know whether or not I've got it on this. I think the browsers. I'm doing very well. I saw you playing Mass Effect earlier on. How are you doing? Right, let's see if I can.
Whatever else they can stuff down their gullets. Yo, escort convoy.
I like that. I got one batch ready now. Can you help escort it
My
to
god,
South
that scared the crap out of me,
Well,
M7.
solid,
Oh, you
There you go. It's working now. It is working now. You find us creating a new campaign, a new horror campaign for our tabletop. So welcome in, everybody. I hope you had a really good stream, Exile, and please do run off. Don't feel you have to stay. If you're like me, you're probably desperate for the bathroom and food, because I normally am after my stream. So take good care of yourself. I really like the idea of them porting in. I really like the idea. Say, for example, they're in a town, and in the certain area of the town, there is something happening. It's whether or not I want it to say, you appear in your hotel room with the briefing papers spread around. Or, you know, it's almost like you somehow get there. And once you've finished, once everything's sorted, you then zip back somewhere. And you know it's finished. You know you've succeeded because you shift back somewhere. And it's almost like you know you have defeated or solved the issue because you disappear. Does anybody remember Quantum Leap?
I have to finish this page.
Quantum Leap.
Theorizing that one could time travel within his own lifetime, Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and vanished. He awoke to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own, and driven by an unknown force to change history for the better. His only guide on this journey is Al, an observer from his own time, who appears in the form of a hologram that only Sam can see and hear. And so Dr. Beckett finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that his next leap will be the leap home.
So I really like this concept. I really like that, the idea of almost like quantum leap. And that same as sapphire and steel. Do you know, I think I might go with that, just because you don't need to create a huge amount of background stuff. Hey, pew 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 pew. I've actually got my pew pew back now. Where is it? You know, I have got a key here that has nothing on. And I think I'm going to add, it's in Cyberpunk, pew pew. I'm going to actually put it. Let's see where this sound is. FPS, whatever that stands for. There you go. I've now got a button. It's not very good. Let's just search community sounds. There might be a better one. Oh, I wanted to go pew pew. That one says, I'm very wary of anything that says sensitive. You know what I mean? I actually wanted to go pew pew. Some of these are better. I'll keep looking for a good pew pew one. Pew pew. Might just take this first one. Add it to my soundboard. And then I can take it from here. Soundboard. Just add the sound to it. What's it called? Pew pew. Okay. Let's come out of it and go back into it to see whether or not it refreshes. Still can't see it. Found it. Here we go. Up the volume a bit. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. I think I'm going to start off like that. I really like the idea of having a piece of script that sort of like says, she wanders she walks away from you, and as she turns to smile, your world goes black. I almost like want that to be the end of the adventure, so the parties know that they've corrected or sealed or banished or something, you know. And I just sort of like say, and she walks away and she turns to you and with a smile on her face, and your world goes black. And they know then that they're out of that sort of like a situation, and they're into a new situation, and that's it. Oh, hang on, I like that idea. They don't know what is wrong. They have to try and find out. I like that. So all of a sudden, I almost like start the adventure by saying, you find yourself on a train that is hurtling through the countryside from London to Edinburgh. In your carriage, there are a number of people sat. And then almost like they have to decide, so what's going on here? What do we, why are we here? And they sort of like have to find out why they're there and then try to correct it, solve it, alter it, and then they get sent back, and they almost like then zoom from one place to another. I like that idea. So they literally appear there in modern day, and the first thing is, okay, then what is happening? Because I could lay a whole load of layers there. It could be like the idea that I say, you appear walking down the street towards the local hotel. Around you, there are billboard posters advertising the arrival of the circus next week. The whole town is excited, and you can feel the excitement of the fair approaching. And then, say for example, they go off. I might use this idea, and they go off, and they suddenly find that every time the fair has come to a town, there's been an abduction or murder or a burnt body or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's just sort of like, you've got all these pieces when you start off, and somehow you've got to fit them all together, find out what the issue is, and then try to prevent it. So it's sort of like, so who is it in the circus? What are they doing? What can they find out? You know, and they might miss the first one, and then they can use that info. Oh, I like this idea. I really do like this idea at the moment. I think it's I think it's really nice for them to sort of like puzzle it out right from the beginning and trying to fit all the pieces together. It also allows me to jump them around everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And they can suddenly be on an aeroplane or a train or in a little village or major town. Or that would be a good one if they just appear in the middle of nowhere. They literally appear. Oh, and that's something else I can do. Where do they appear? What are they wearing? So I was just thinking, they suddenly appear in the middle of the town, all wearing smart business suits. Or they arrive in the middle of the town, all wearing shabby, down and out outfits. Do you know what I mean? So what they're actually wearing gives them the persona, and they can say things. Are there anything in my pocket? And I say, yeah, you open your wallet and you've got numerous credit cards, or something like that. You know, so as they go in, they actually gives them their personalities. So that would be really good, because all four of them are really good role players. So they'll be able to pick that up straight away. And each one of them could be wearing something else, or they could be all the same. I was just thinking that they could materialize with military outfits on, and they're in the middle of a barracks, you know, or an interesting one. I just thought about an interesting one. They appear in wearing full plate mail and carrying swords and shields, and they sort of like think, what are we doing in medieval Britain? But they're actually in a cosplay. They could be in like a cosplay convention or something like that. I like that idea. Or they could appear like as a team playing Marvel Rivals in the final. They've just successfully beaten the other team in the semi-final and going on to the finals in the next couple of days. But then they have to figure out, why are we here? What do we need to do? And then all of a sudden they get that idea. I just love it if they suddenly say, that's it. That's what is happening. This is what we have to do. And then they somehow how to figure out how to do it, you know, and how to sort of like figure that out. Oh, I really like this. This would be really interesting. And we can go anything from computer viruses to computer stop. So my Alexa is called computer. So when I say the word, computer, clear all notifications. I say, right, okay, I'm just going to nip to the bathroom. I will not be long. you know, this has really, really, really helped. Doing it on, doing it live, because it sort of like gives me a really sort of like good indication, and sort of like allows me to think out loud. And then as I think out loud, that sort of like generates more ideas. I've definitely, I was in two minds whether or not they were going to like a I was in two minds whether or not to put them in a situation like we are going to, or build up a town or city for them. And I'm definitely going to do this jump you in and see what happens. I just think it'll be so cool. And so like trying to work it out, but also it's almost like, say for example, the party get this idea that there's a, a murderer or an evil man or woman who's doing things, and they actually think that they have to kill her or something like that, or stop her or imprison her. And they actually do that, and she gets handed over to the police. And I say she walks away from you and turns to smile. And they think, the world doesn't go black. This is not it. There's something else happening. We've got to do something else. You know, and it's almost like they could have gone down completely the wrong path. And they have to sort of like retrace their steps or something. And they, you know, quickly find out that it's not this one person. It's somebody else. And I love that they only know that they've succeeded when I utter those words, your world goes black. And they know that that's the end of that scenario. And they're almost like in stasis until the next time that they're sort of like zoomed into something. I love that. Oh, fantastic. I think this is going to be really, really good. And we've got the social interactions, how they do that. We've got how they do the combat. We've got their gifts, and we've got their research. Is there anything else that they're going to need? I can't think of. So this is an interesting one with the contacts. Oh, that no, we can do that. So it's almost like they have somebody on speed dial, so they can contact people in any world that's already been set up for them, and they've got their personality when they come in. But the other thing is, I really like this idea that they sort of like appear and they're trying to figure out what's going on and what they have to correct or solve. But at the same time, they got to discover who they are as well. And it's almost like a bit like Quantum Leap. Rider on! Hey, did you just give me some kudos on...
2 years, wow.
You just gave me some kudos on my afternoon run. I just saw it picking up, it just popped up on Strava there. You know, I thought today's run was going to be a record. I was so pleased with today's run. I thought, oh, it's going to be. I actually started to push myself and thought, right, I can do this. But I think I got 2 achievements. What did I get? Congrats, you just set your 3rd fastest time in the mile. Oh. I felt as if I'd really run well today. 37. Oh, it was no real. I was slightly faster. 36 has been 33. Oh, that was a walk. That doesn't count. I am getting faster. Let me sing you your thank you song. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to pay my tire. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the load dryer. Thank you very much. Key change. Thank you very much. You're 1 in a million. Thank you very much for feeding.
Thank you for supporting the channel.
Very much. That was weird. Why is that one not come on? And I need to check this. Oh, it looks like one of the cams isn't working. No worries. What kind of sticker would you like, Ryder on? What kind of sticker would you like? The subtone. Let me find your choice. Well, we've got a nice sort of like dark blue thing. I tell you what, I am going to find it. I'm going to go over your name. Very hard to see it at the moment. That's better. We can see you now, can't we? Right. I am going to give you. I think I'm going to give you a yellow. I think we're going to go blue, yellow. Like that. We'll go around in a choice like that. That's a good one. That. Slip you back in there. Thank you for your ongoing support. I really do. How's your evening going? So it's going really well. I'm nearly finished my stream. We've just been creating our new campaign world, which is called Gifted, or called The Gifted. That's what it's actually called. This is it. Look, it's going to be a horror campaign. That's what it's going to be, and we've done lots and lots of work on it today. So I'm really pleased about it. This is everything that we've done today. Sorry, I paused my phone, went weird, and missed all of that. Oh, I've been creating a horror campaign. Yeah, it's my new campaign world that I'm working on, which is going to be super good. I love it to bits already. So it's going to be so good. And as always, talking on here has given me a whole load of really good ideas. So I'm going to be working on that. So we'll come back next Saturday. I might come on at the end of tomorrow and do a little bit more as well. But if you are interested in supporting anything that we do on RPGs, then don't forget you can pop over to my Ko-fi page, where you can find downloads and content. Everything that I put on YouTube goes on there as well. So you can just follow it and get a feed. I didn't think you were a horror lover, but that's awesome. I'm glad. It's going to be a little bit like mysteries. That's the sort of horror that it's going to be. It's going to be very mysterious, very... it's not going to be chopping off heads. It's going to be a lot more mysterious and unknown and things like that. And then a real shock when they find out. A bit like Dresden Files. If you've seen any of Harry Dresden, that sort of like feel with a bit of sapphire and steel and quantum leap goes into it as well. So it should be good. It should be good. I'm looking forward to running it. But we're doing classic fantasy at the moment, and then we'll do M Space, and then we'll do Gifted. So I've got plenty of time to create it up, and I'm using a rule set called After the Vampires Wars. We're still using Mithras. And that's the excellent thing about Mithras. You can adapt it to so many things. Okay, people, I'm going to head off. I'll be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock with some Subnautica tomorrow. We're going to be playing Subnautica starting from about 12 or 1 o'clock-ish and going through to 4. So do come along and enjoy that. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, look after yourselves. Stay safe and healthy. And remember, if it makes you happy, it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. See you all later, folks. Goodbye. Ooh.